by that is if you're listening to this, you were blessed. You were born. You woke up another day. 2.2 billion people in the world don't have access to clean drinking water. Like, let that settle in for a second. Be great. You have a greater, become obsessed with the top of the funnel. To introduce myself, my name is Corey, and I am your host, and I am the guy that's going to guide you through this personal development and personal growth journey. And today I am uniquely qualified to talk about this topic because I've been in sales and sales leadership for going on 14 years. So 13 and a quarter in sales, we round up. And in sales and sales leadership, you have to focus on the funnel. We focus on conversion. We focus on actions. We focus on a lot of different things, but I'm uniquely qualified because I've gotten a chance to live this in the trenches because I am a salesperson. And I've also had a chance to live this from a bird's eye view and look at conversion on a grander scale, on a macro scale, because I lead a team of 10. So I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this topic because I've seen both sides of the fence of people who do a great job of focusing on the top of the funnel, and it leads to massive results. And I've seen people, majority of people, get distracted and focus on the very bottom of the funnel and obsessed over the wrong things, and then pick their head up and be disappointed because they don't land where they want to land. So first, we're just going to define it, right? Everybody knows what a funnel is. If you think about it, it's a kind of a triangle cone shaped thing. At the top, it's very wide. At the bottom, and you could filter powders and waters or oil into your car, whatever you use a funnel for. We know what a funnel is. And in what we do, or in this concept, what we want to focus on is not the bottom of the funnel. The bottom of the funnel is the result. It's the end result in which you're hoping for. That whittles everything down at the very bottom. The bottom of the funnel is the result. At the top of the funnel is the preliminary actions that lead to the result. The preliminary actions that lead to the result. So the further you get up the funnel, the further you get away from the final results, but these are actions that lead to the eventual result that you want to be in. Now, what you'll find is people that focus at the bottom of the funnel, which again is the majority of people, they experience the roller coaster effect. So what happens is they'll have a good month, and then they'll have a bad month. They'll have a good set of circumstances, and then they'll have a setback. And you'll go up and you'll go down, and you want to get off the roller coaster, but you don't know how. And it's just because you're finding that you're obsessing over the end result and you're not being strategic and intentional on the top of your funnel, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, those same people that deal with the roller coaster effect of wins and then losses, and if that sounds familiar for you, please listen on, they are running into the definition of insanity. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. So you're just like, so I want to get this thing, but it just keeps going up and down on me, and I can't continue to progress. And it's because, again, we're not being intentional about our actions that lead to results. We're just focusing way too much on the actual result itself. So the first rule when it comes to focusing on the top of the funnel is to know thy numbers. So in anything, if you know your numbers, you're not going to run into the definition of insanity because you're going to be basing it off of probability. You're going to be basing it off of actions that lead to results. And more likely than not, you're going to end on the right side of that coin if you know the numbers. So I'm going to walk you through the mortgage industry, not because I want everybody to become a loan officer out there. And if you're not in the mortgage industry, bear with me on this, but it's a great picture of driving home what we're talking about. I'm going to try to explain it to you like you're a first grader, just so you're not like, dude, I don't care about the mortgage industry. You might care about the mortgage industry a lot. And if you do, tune in here. So in terms of just describing the bottom of the funnel, we help people purchase homes. So when someone wants to buy a house, they get a mortgage. A mortgage is a loan to buy that house, and they pay it back over 30 years or 15 years. So the end result for us is originating that loan. We give the client the mortgage. That's the very bottom of the funnel. That's the result. We get compensated on that. That's the end result. Now, before somebody can purchase a property and before we can get pre-approved, a pre-approval is basically us saying, hey, based off this set of circumstances, we're willing to give you a loan for X amount. Here are the terms of that loan. Here's the monthly payment. Here's your down payment, and go out and find a property. Now, in terms of actions that lead to results, that is an action that would lead to an eventual result. That's not your result. So pre-approval is going to be right in the middle of the funnel if you're working your way up backwards. So when you pre-approve somebody, that's in the middle of your funnel. When they get the actual loan from you, that's at the very bottom of the funnel. Now, if we go to the very top of the funnel, just to speak in simplistic terms, before we can pre-approve somebody, we have to meet them first, obviously. So in order for us to meet people, we have to generate referrals. And we generate referrals a lot of different ways, but just for today's purposes, let's just say we generate referrals from our primary source, which is referral partners or real estate agents. So again, to keep things simple, at the top of the funnel, the start of the actions that lead to eventual results, we're gonna make that as a referral. So generating referrals is at the very, very top of our funnel. Pre-approving those referrals is in the middle of the funnel. And the actual mortgage is at the bottom of the funnel. Okay, you with me so far? Great. Now, when it comes to knowing thy numbers, it's really important we know our numbers here, or again, you're going to run into a roller coaster effect where you have really great months and you have really bad months. So I'm just going to, let's say that my goal in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve from a monetary standpoint is I need to originate 2 loans. Let's just say that that's the overall goal. I want to, at the very bottom of my funnel, I need to make sure this funnel spits out 2 loans for me. Okay. So we're knowing our numbers here. I got to finish with 2 loans. Now, let's say that every time you pre-approve 2 people, it will lead to 1 loan. So let's just say you pre-approve 2 people. One person doesn't buy a house, which happens. Another person does buy a house. So every other time I write a pre-approval, it leads to a loan, right? Okay, so if we're knowing our numbers, simple math here, we need to, in order to get 2 loans, we need to get 4 pre-approvals. So every 4 pre-approvals that I write, it will lead to 2 loans for me. Okay, and then if we go to the very top of the funnel, we know that every 3 referrals that we generate leads to a pre-approval. So not everybody's going to qualify. Maybe we're not able to get a hold of that person. So every 3 referrals that we generate leads to a pre-approval. So again, knowing thy numbers and doing simple math here, if we need 4 pre-approvals to equal 2 loans and 3 referrals lead to 4 pre-approvals, that means that we're going to need 12 referrals on our month, because 12 referrals is going to lead to enough pre-approvals, those 4 pre-approvals, to lead to the 2 loans that we want. So the concept here, let's get out of the math, because I don't like to do math by head. And if I mess that up, let's just move on. But to drive home the point here, what everybody does is they focus on the bottom of the funnel. I need these 2 loans, man. Let me get these loans. Where's the next one at? I need 2. What my challenge to you is, and what I found is leads to the most success, is to focus on the very top of the funnel, which for us is referrals. So the people that focus on the bottom of the funnel, they run around like with the chickens with their head cut off, just trying to find those 2 loans. The people that focus at the top of the funnel, which I fall into that category, we obsess over how to generate more referrals, because the reality is, if you introduce me to a client and I get a referral, I'm going to know how to turn it to a pre-approval. And the reality is, when someone is pre-approved, I'm going to know how to guide them into getting a property. So I don't really have to plan for those things, because those are at the bottom of the funnel. The funnel is going to fall in your favor regardless of what happens. But if I don't have enough referrals coming through the top of the funnel, I can't turn 1 referral into 2 loans in this case. The math doesn't math there. So what I do is I obsess over the very top of the funnel, which is generating referrals. Now, when you obsess over something, you have to actually obsess over it, right? Like, how can I maximize my top of the funnel? How can I take actions to have more referrals rolling through this funnel? And we can do it a lot of different ways, but best way to do it is to either call or meet with real estate agents. So, become maniacal about calling and meeting and bringing value and spending money and finding different ways into basically creating a referral source that's going to consistently make introductions to for you. So that's essentially the concept of knowing the numbers, is just understanding, okay, I need to become obsessed about going to lead to the end result of what I want to do. Now, I know not everybody's in the mortgage industry, like I mentioned before, and I know that maybe this doesn't necessarily resonate with you, or we got to the math section and you're like that gif of Zach Galifianakis in that one movie with all like the signs floating around. So like, let's get away from the math, but let's drive it home for something that's very real for you. If part of your personal development is, I want to make more money, which a lot of people they fall in that category. My goal is to make more money, Corey. Then I would challenge you to sit down and figure out how you make money and the actions that lead to the money that you're hoping to generate. That's a great exercise for you if you're trying to focus on the top of the funnel and drive home what I'm talking about here. So let's just say you Uber drive on the side. A great way to focus on the top of the funnel is to look up the times in which the traffic is the most and then allocate that time window for you. Get something on the calendar that says, in these 3-hour windows, I'm going to be driving Uber and I'm going to commit to driving the Uber. And you just get obsessed at the top of the funnel of, I have to block out my time in which I'm driving Uber. And that's the action that I'm going to take. I'm going to obsess over it, right? Like, what areas are the most lucrative for me? What time is the best for me to do it? Can I ramp up an additional 30 minutes per week in order to generate the amount of revenue that I want to generate? And you just become very obsessed with the top of the funnel, the actual like people getting in the car, right? And then you're driving them around. Maybe they give you tips. Maybe you run your series of jokes. Maybe you add some waters into your Uber vehicle or some snacks or one of those cool games that you can play as far as trivia goes. Maybe that's a good way where you can up the tips during your Uber drive. And then at the very bottom is when Uber sends you that check at the end of the month or deposit into your account. I'm not totally sure how it works, but that's the money and the income that you're hoping to generate. So whatever it is, right? If you sit down and you think about it, I want to accomplish X. Think about how that looks in terms of a funnel, and don't focus on the very bottom and the end result. That's going to take care of itself if you properly take care of and have enough of the top of the funnel coming in for you. Okay, hopefully we get the concept. I put myself in a pretzel back there thinking about the math. I really hope I got that right. Now, when it comes to a great scope to think through when you're building out your funnel and you're understanding how to get to your end result, one of my favorite equations that isn't math, but it kind of is the success equation. And this is an equation that I learned a long time ago, and I found this to be tried and true in anything. So let's dive into the success equation. Success equation is your effort times your skill times your mindset equals success. I'm going to say it again. Your effort times your skill times your mindset equals success. So this isn't just in sales, but this applies perfectly in sales because sales is a contact sport. So if you have great effort, meaning you're willing to make the dials, you're willing to sit down in the appointments, you're willing to put the hours in, and your effort is through the roof, and if your skill is great, your conversion is money, you do a great job of client service, you're great at influence and persuasion, and when you have enough effort and you filter it through your skill, it leads to great things. And this is very important. And your mindset is on point. You have a positive mindset. You look for reasons why you can, not for reasons why you can't. You're motivated, you're inspired, and you're feeling it. You're in a good position. Then you're undoubtedly going to be successful. I've never seen someone check all three of these boxes and be at the bottom of a stack rank. It's impossible. Now, more oftentimes than not, you're going to have rooms for improvement or areas for improvement on one of these equations. And it's important to take stock on what that is. So for you, whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you sit down and think about it, like, man, I'm a talented person. I've been in this industry for 15 years. I got the skill. And you're going to want to have numbers to back that up. But let's just say you got the skill. And, my mindset is great. I am listening to podcasts. I'm listening to this one right now. I eat healthy. I'm in a great mental state. But my effort is kind of like meh. Like, I'm kind of just tired. I'd rather not. I'd rather just do the bare minimum in terms of effort because it's enough for me to get by. Then you're going to be moderately successful. You'll be middle of the pack. And then, you can kind of pick, or you get the picture here. But taking stock of where you're at on the success metric and where you can provide improvement for yourself is great. Now, one thing that I did for my team is I take the success metric and I run their business through the success metric. So we'll look at their effort stats, right? Like how many times are you dialing on the phone? How often are you on the phone? How many credit reports are you looking at? How many referrals are you generating? All these lead to effort. And then we look at their skill. How good is your conversion? How many times are your pre-approvals turning into loans? How many times are your referrals turning into pre-approvals? We'll dive into the conversion. And then mindset is more subjective, right? So are you coming to the table with a positive attitude? Are you being a great teammate to our team? Are you finding ways to find creative solutions rather than looking for low-hanging fruit and moving on to the next one? So these things are all graded, and I'll give my team a grade. And then we'll pick things out of, man, your mindset was off this month. Like, we need to focus on that. But the key is just to take stock of where you're at. Now, if you're helping somebody or you have a friend that is struggling and they're maybe not getting everything that they want out of life, this is a great tool to be able to walk them through as well. Like, hey, man, let's take a step back. Let's just go off a feel. Like, do you think you're giving your best effort right now? How do you think your skill is? Do you think that that's something that we can work on? And then overall mindset, like, are you in a funk? Have like fire before? Like, are you in that range? Like, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst you've ever felt, 10 being the best you ever felt. Like, how is your mindset right now? And whatever the answers to these questions are, you can help them gamify it, right? If your skill is not there, let's go out and do calls together. Let's look at scripts. Let's throw some stuff into ChatGPT and find out what we can learn about skill. If your effort's off, all you got to do is keep track of it, right? It's inputs and outputs. You need X amount of inputs in order to improve your effort. Let's just do those things. It's action. And then your mindset, you can listen to podcasts, you can go for walks, maybe cut some stuff out, the bad eating, the not drinking enough water, the too much drinking alcohol, and get yourself into a positive mindset. Even if it's for a short window, run one of your friends through the success formula, run yourself through the success formula. You might like what you find during doing that exercise. Now, regardless of if you are focusing on the top of the funnel, and regardless of if you are being conscious of your success formula, what I found is that there's one thing that is tried and true in just business in general, or generating results that you want in general, right? And this is all with thinking in the mind. I want to focus on actions that lead to the desired results. Action is the way in which you get desired results. So what I've found is far too many people live in indecision mode, and far too many people don't take enough action to achieve the goals they want to achieve. So in past podcasts, we've talked about people giving up on their New Year's resolution. We've talked about people dealing with setbacks and adversity. And we've talked about just striding towards something that's important to you. And what I found is the reason why a lot of people fall short is because they drastically underestimate how much action it takes to get to their desired result. Drastically. And when you don't do enough action and you know that life is just a series of inputs that lead to eventual outputs, you should not be disappointed when you don't get the outputs that you're hoping for, because you just didn't have enough inputs. And inputs is the massive action. Now, the key word, or the operative word in massive action, is the massive part. So you have to mentally understand that there is a mountain to climb when it comes to achieving great things. And there are billions, trillions of people in the world, and a lot of them are willing to make the sacrifice. And if you are not willing to make that sacrifice to take massive action, then you don't be disappointed when you don't get the results that you're wanting. So whoever needs to hear this, massive action is such an integral part of what you're doing to accomplish the end result that you're hoping for. Don't sit in analysis and paralysis. You can't dream your way to a result that you want to be at. You can't plan your way to a result that you want to be at. Eventually you have to take the action. Eventually you have to get in the trenches and do the task that leads to the actual result. And you have to do it over and over and over again. You have to do it more often. You have to do it quicker in order to ramp up the equation that you're on that's going to lead to the eventual results. So this is something I think about constantly. Am I taking enough action right now? And I think we have a limited belief system when it comes to how much actual action it takes in order for you to accomplish something great. You can live in the middle ground, do what everybody else does window, but you just can't be disappointed if you're not getting results and you're not having the life that you want because you're not willing to take the action that will get you over the hump. Nothing beats out the hard work. You can't cheat the game. You need to take massive action in order to get where you want to be. And don't limit your belief of what you think that might be. I think there's also people out there that are vastly underestimating themselves. There are human beings that are doing great things in the world, and they biologically are set up the same way that you are. Like, these people aren't superheroes. They're human beings. And you can also be that person. You can. It just takes more action. It doesn't have to be like a crazy 180 turn of your life. You can build your way up to it, but sitting in indecision and sitting on the sidelines and not taking action will hold you back, and it will keep you on the loop of Groundhog's Day of setbacks and push forwards until you pick your head up and you're not happy where you're at. So if you're not happy where you're at right now, the answer is massive action. A lot of times it is. Now, one thing that's held me back in the past when it comes to taking massive action is I don't want to start something unless I can see it all the way through. I think it's a certain level of OCD almost where, I only have 15 minutes here, but I know that the task that I need to accomplish is going to take 45 minutes. So I'm going to put it on my to-do list. I'm going to come back to it when I have enough time. And then this free 15 minutes, I'm going to get a snack, or I'm going to call a friend, or I'm going to check ESPN and see what's going on in the world. And then I lose that 15 minutes. And my brain's happy because my brain gets uncomfortable when it starts something and starts. I don't like starting. I don't like stopping. Beckett, my kid, my 9-year-old, he's crazy. He can sit down and read a book. He can put the book down, leave, and then he can come back to the book within a matter of minutes. And it makes my brain upset if I can't make perfect conditions for me to read. Like, I need the time. I need to build myself up to it. Like, that's just how my brain works. I think it's a certain level of OCD. But something that's really helped me is I was listening to a podcast. Shout out to podcasts. And there was a gentleman on there that was talking about action, and he was talking about things that lead to end results. Same thing that we're talking about here. And he had a quote that really stuck with me. So the multiple of zero is zero. The multiple of zero is zero. So if you don't take any action in that moment, it can't compound on itself. Actions are compounding. The more actions that you take, it compounds over a long enough period of time where it gets you more and more results that are favorable for what you're looking for. But you can't multiply zero by any other number. It's always going to be zero. So if you're not taking any action, you're stuck in neutral and you're not going anywhere. So even if it is a small action, even if you can't go to the gym for an hour that day, you can only afford to go to the gym for 15 minutes, still do the 15 minutes. Even if you only have 5 extra minutes to work on a project and you're going to have to come back to it, do the 5 minutes. Don't tell yourself that you don't have enough time to complete it all the way through, because that doesn't matter. Because if the multiple, if you do a scale of 1, right? If I do a level 1 workout for 15 minutes, that's still compounding, because 1 times another number is a higher number than 0. But 0 times another number is not compounding. You're stuck in neutral. You're not leveling up. You're not moving on to the next level. So that's really helped me out, because you don't want to wait for perfect conditions. If you wait for perfect conditions, you're going to be waiting forever. And time is one of those things that can lead to perfect conditions. So whether you have OCD like me, or whether you have the feeling of, I don't want to start and stop, I'm just going to wait, the challenge is to get in there, because compounding actions on top of each other is how you win on a really high level. Okay. Now, another thing that's helped me, and this is just, speaking with me here, is there's no need to save the best for last. So when it comes to even this podcast, I'll think of topics and I'll say, ooh, that's a really good one. I'm going to save that one for later. I'm going to continue to craft and work on that. Or a whatever, right? Like a dish that you're making at home and you're like, "Ooh, I'm going to save that for a special day." That day may never come, and you're eventually going to figure out more great ideas where you don't have to save the best for last. I think a lot of people out there are sitting with great ideas, great business ideas. I think they're sitting with great plans. And I think that they're waiting for perfect conditions, like we mentioned, to do these things. Just know you're smart. Humans are resilient. We're always going to find a better thing that you're wanting to do. So there's no need to save the best for last. Do it right now. You'll figure out an even better form of that later on. So this is also for people with social media, right? Like, I don't want to post that right now. I'm going to save that for later. It's just a Tuesday. I'm going to save that for Friday. But when you're waiting, you end up wasting a lot of time because you downshift. Your RPMs aren't moving at the same rate, and that time, whether you notice it or not, is getting lost because you're waiting to release something. So don't save the best for last. Save the best for today. Do the best right now. You have it in you. You'll come up with other stuff later on. There's no need to wait. Waiting and living in indecision is not where you want to live. We're focused on the top of the funnel. We're focused on taking massive action. And I know if you put your head down and figure out your numbers and become obsessed with the top of the funnel and take massive actions around that, you'll get results. You 100% will. I've seen it 10 out of 10 times. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with others. There's nothing that part of this game that will not follow through for you wherever you want to be. But it does take effort, and effort is difficult. And we're designed to conserve energy, right? Like, we have to sleep 8 hours a night. We have to eat 3 times a day. We have to drink enough water. Our brain is here to preserve energy. We're preserving mental energy. So a lot of this takes effort. And if you had to decide between doing a lot of effort or not doing a lot of effort, in the moment, you'd probably decide not to do a lot of effort if it was all the same for you. So you may be thinking to yourself, like, this is a lot. Why don't I just keep doing what I'm doing right now? It's not that bad. My challenge to you is, with great power comes great responsibility. And what I mean by that is, if you're listening to this, you're blessed. You were born. You woke up another day. You have great power in this life that was given to you, and you're a literal blip on the vastness of this world and the history of this world and the history of the future that's going to continue to be. So in the short time that you're here, and with the hand that you were dealt, you would do yourself a disservice. You'll do your family a disservice. You do your friends a disservice. You'll do the higher power, whatever you believe in, a disservice if you don't maximize every day. Because what you don't want to do is be on the bed in the hospital when you're looking back on your life and tell yourself, I wish I would have done more. I wish I would have spent more time in X rather than wasting time watching Netflix. With great power comes great responsibility. Something that I think about, and I think I heard this quote from Gary Vee: 2.2 billion people in the world don't have access to clean drinking water. Like, let that settle in for a second. You can turn on a faucet and you got clean drinking water like that. You don't have to go to a watering hole and have it filtered, and you don't have to boil water in order to drink cleanly. And we need water. Like, you were built winning the lottery by having access to clean drinking water. There's plenty of people out there that would kill for that opportunity, and you have it. You were born with it. You have that today. What a blessing. What an opportunity. But with that great power comes great responsibility. Why waste it? Why not take action? Why not go for it? Like, you were born with winning the lottery to be able to have that available to you. To go further into it, you were born America. Heck yeah, undefeated in world wars. I'm a patriot. America is the land of the free. It's the place in which you can make it from nothing to something. There's so much opportunity in America. But out of the world's population, 4.2% of people live in America. You were born here. You have the opportunity to live free. You have the opportunity to make something. There's so much opportunity out there, and to shortchange yourself and to rear back and downshift on the governor, it's looking a gift in the face and saying, I don't want that. Like, you were born with major power, but it comes with major responsibility. And the way in which you see that responsibility through for yourself, that you owe to yourself, is to take more action. And lastly, 57 million people, like, think about that, 57 million people have a life-threatening or terminal illness in the world right now. 57 million people. And you are not one of those people. You get to wake up every day and decide what your day is going to look like. There are 57 million people that don't have that opportunity. And if they could trade places with you, they might, because you have the ability to be you have the ability to be healthy. And because you have the ability to be healthy, and because you're in America, and because you have access to clean drinking water, you have a greater responsibility to be great. You have a greater responsibility to go out and take action. And you have a greater responsibility to do right by yourself and level up. And yes, it's harder, but it's your responsibility, and you'd much rather have it this way than any other way. So that's my challenge to you. Take your gifts and level up. Take action to eventually get there. And the way in which you can do it is by being strategic on focusing on the top of the funnel things that will get you the end results to follow through on the gifts that you've been given in life. Shout out to Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the time. Take the action. Get strategic. And we'll see you guys next week.